Hello, once again, everyone. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends. It was the summer of 1964 when Gary Lewis and the Playboys were discovered by producer Snuff Garret. Before long, with the producer-arranger team of Garrett and Leon Russell behind them, they took their first single, This Diamond Ring, straight to number one. After their second hit, titled Count Me In, went to number two. Gary and the band proved that they would be a continued success. He followed with more top 10 songs such as Save Your Heart for Me, Everybody Loves a Clown, She's Just My Style, Sure Gonna Miss Her, and many, many more. In 65, Gary himself was Cashbox Magazine's Male Vocalist of the Year, winning the honor over other nominees, Elvis Presley and Frank Sinatra. Wow. With the reoccurring interest in oldies music, Gary Lewis and the Playboys are one of the hottest acts around. Gary Lewis, along with the Playboys, continues to tour and entertain fans across the country and abroad. Please welcome singer and musician, founder and leader of the Top 40 music legends, Gary Lewis and the Playboys, Gary Lewis, to Interviewing the Legends. Hello, Gary.
Hello, how are ya?
I'm doing good, man. How was your holiday?
Oh, it was bedlam.
Business as usual.
Yeah. Families and stuff. Yeah, it was fine.
Did you do anything special? Did you go anywhere?
No. I don't like to travel or do anything on the holidays because you always get stuck wherever you are.
That's true. Yeah, there's been a lot of cancellations in airlines and things like that too.
I know. Yeah. But I mean, we have worked on like 4th of July and Thanksgiving. We have been out of town for Christmas a couple times.
Right.
But, I don't know if I like that.
Well, with your career, you've been out of town a lot, so you deserve to stay home and relax. The last time me and you have chatted was in 2013. Can you believe that?
Was
time
was,
flies.
Was that when I was with the Happy Together tour?
Probably, yeah. I cover Happy Together all the time, and I just had Mr. Fishoff on not long ago, as a matter of fact.
Right.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And by the way, Mr. Brian Hyland says hello. I had him on the show recently.
He's great. I love him. Great guy.
You guys, you were almost competitors at one time, huh?
Well, I guess you would say yes, but it's a good thing that I never felt that. I always had the feelings like, yeah, okay, you have hit records too. Well, that's great. Anybody can have hit records. That's great. I didn't look at it like competition or anything like that. And it turned out I didn't have to feel that,
Right. You guys were a bit similar too in the way, kind of in your style.
Well, right. Snuffy Garret, he when I started recording, he had me do a couple of Brian Hyland tunes.
Right.
As a matter of fact, Brian had my hit of Save Your Heart for Me before I did.
Right.
And it didn't really go anywhere. So Snuffy says, Brian Hyland had this tune. I think you could do it and make it a hit. I said, well, okay, great, whatever you say. It went to number 2 in the country.
It's amazing how that works out. Just like Diamond Ring, it was offered to, I think, was it the Drifters and somebody else? And then nobody wanted it, but you took it and boom, number one.
Right. That's right. It is amazing how things happen. It was offered to the Drifters. They didn't like it. So then it was offered to Bobby V, and he didn't care for it either. So in the many years of being on the road, every time I saw any of the Drifters or Bobby V, I just kind of said, thank you.
It's funny. Sealed with a Kiss who you also did as well.
Right.
And also Diamond Ring, to me, are the two songs that define the 60s. They were so huge at that time and played over and over again. And
Really,
yeah,
really. I mean, Diamond Ring, who knew, you know? I mean, it was going up the chart so fast that Snuffy Garrett was worried that it might not sell a lot because it was going up the charts too fast. But that wasn't the case either.
yeah, Snuffy was a great producer. I mean, he did a lot
Well,
of stuff with
it
Sonny and
was
Cher,
good
and
stuff. He
yeah,
knew he knew how to pick hit records, and he knew exactly when to put them out too.
he really did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like if the Beatles had a new song, Snuffy would wait 3 weeks before putting my single out.
yeah. It's always
Yeah.
good to have one of those guys in your corner, isn't it? Just like the Beatles with George Martin.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, between Leon Russell and Snuffy Garrett, man, I at the time I didn't realize the power and the greatness that I had. You know, I learned that along the way.
I want to mention, I'm in Florida, and you've got three big dates coming here in Florida.
Right.
March 18th, you'll be in Venice, which is, I don't know, 30 minutes from me, south.
Uh-huh.
You're going to be at the Bay Indies Resort Community Ballroom.
Right, right.
On the 23rd, you're going to be in Ocala
Yep.
at the Top of the World Circle Square Cultural Center. And then this is going to be a cool date, March 24th in St. Pete
Right.
at the Duke Energy Center for the Arts at Mahaffey Theater, which is also going to feature Jay and the Americans, The Circle. I've had Don on this show, Don Daneman,
Yeah.
and the Vogues. I mean, that's going to be a great show, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know, I mean, I've toured with all those guys over the years so many times. It's like old home week, you know? I see these guys.
Well, plus you do a lot of the cruises too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We just did a malt shop cruise in last October.
Right.
It is great. It is just it. I actually I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I love the malt shop cruise.
Right. Well, I think that's one of my favorite
Yeah.
is the mall shop cruise. I think my wife would like that one the best because there is a bunch of them out there, but I like
Yeah,
that
oh,
one the
yeah,
best.
there are, but I don't know. I don't know how he can get so many name people on that cruise. I mean, there's like 30 acts,
I know.
you know, but it works. It works.
It's like Woodstock on the high seas.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
I really admire you're one of the earliest drummers who actually sang while you drummed back in the day. And to this day, I still can't understand how you guys do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people have asked me over the years, isn't that hard to sing and do your fills and all that stuff?
Exactly.
But it just came so natural to me. Ever since I started playing drums, I was singing. Not with a mic or anything. I was just playing the drums and singing. So that's how it started out. But the reason I switched over to guitar is because on some stages, the lighting wasn't really good yet, and people couldn't see me behind all the cymbals
Right.
and stuff. And I had much too much energy to have to sit down the whole show.
Hmm.
So I got up. That's when I hired Jim Keltner, and he played drums. I came out and played guitar, and it was so great. I could see the crowd. I mean, I saw the crowd. I saw the faces smiling back at me and everything. It was like an epiphany. It was great.
Yeah. And tutored by Buddy Rich, man.
That's right.
Oh my God. Buddy's got that reputation. If you don't do things right, you're out of here,
Well, I know that.
How was he with you? How was he with you? Because you were a young guy.
Well, I was 5 years old when I first met him.
Yeah.
And I didn't know him as Buddy Rich, the great drummer. I just knew of him as this friend of my dad's that came over to visit every now and then.
Yeah.
So every time he would come over, he'd say to me, "Hey kid, let's go out to the drums. Let me show you some stuff." And that happened for 7 years. So when I was 12, I don't know how I found out, but I found out it was Buddy Rich. And by that time, I knew who Buddy Rich was, and I was just astounded. He was just a friend of my dad's. I didn't know who this guy was, but he knew how to play drums really good.
Was he tough on you?
No, because I didn't ask him to teach me.
Right.
He wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So
I think Buddy Rich is the best drummer of all time, in my opinion.
I think so. I mean, boy, I sure to this day I still love the 1940s big band stuff.
Yeah, me too.
And boy, when he'd be playing that stuff, oh geez, I love it. Kicking with the horns and all that. Oh baby.
Nobody can drum as fast as he can. He's incredible,
Yeah, I mean, you can pinpoint every single beat that he plays. He was great. He wasn't sloppy at all.
I think Gene Cooper is probably a close second.
Yeah. I dug Gene Cooper. Yeah. Did you ever see that movie with Sal Mineo?
I did. That was cool.
He did that good.
Yeah, he sure did.
Yeah.
I had Al Cooper on the show once before. I just want to mention he was one of the writers on This Time in Ring. Cooper's a great guy. He's funny too. But of course, his claim to fame is discovering Leonard Skinner.
Right. Well, absolutely. When he wrote Diamond Ring, he was still playing with blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Great band too.
Yeah.
Really good band. Everybody Loves a Clown, of course, written by Garrett Leon Russell, was actually meant for your dad. And then it was a personal message for your dad. Later on, you said you don't remember what you got him for his birthday, maybe a bowling ball, because you actually took the song and ran with it.
Right, because all it was supposed to be in the beginning was I was going to just write a little novelty tune and give it to my dad for his birthday. But as the tune started to evolve and everything, it started sounding better and better. And everybody, that I'm playing it for says, "Hey, that's pretty good." So we kept it, and I think that went to number 4 or something.
Weren't those the great days, the 60s? I mean, radio was the best, man.
Oh, it was. It was. All the great LA jocks. Yeah, it was cool. Very cool.
Very cool. Not only that, you had Gary Lewis and the Playboys. You had Frank Sinatra. You had Motown. Everything was combined into Top 40 radio,
Everything was, yeah. James Brown was on Top 40. Country was on Top 40. And I dug it. That's how I learned to like certain country tunes.
Right. I was a Top 40 DJ back in the late 70s, but I got into radio because of the 60s, but because of growing up in the 60s.
Yeah. Well, the 70s wasn't really kind to 60s artists,
No.
Yeah, because it changed, to everything. Like when I was in the Army, I figured, well, I'll be away for 2 years. I'll come back and I'll pick it up.
Right.
Well, by the time I got out, there were these new people: Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, The Doors, And I said, oh, well, where do I fit in here? So if I wanted to if I wanted to stay in rock and roll, I had to play club gigs and do like 4 sets a night.
Right.
That's what I did all of the 70s. And thank God things turned around in 1984. This agent called me and said, "Hey man, the 60s are coming back." Yeah. Who the hell is this?
What have you been smoking, man?
So he said, "Yeah, no, for real." He says it's definitely coming back, and I can book you 60 to 100 dates a year if you want.
Yeah.
I said, listen, if you can book them, I'll play them.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's been happening ever since.
Well, that happened to a lot of 60s acts. You know, I've interviewed a lot of 60s acts, Tommy Rowe, Tommy James, you know, all the guys from the 60s.
Sure, I love them both.
Yeah, but have you ever thought about back then of changing your sound just for the 70s and maybe doing a little psychedelic hard rock?
No, I didn't.
No, huh?
Because Leon Russell gave me a great piece of advice one time. He said, never sing out of your style.
Okay.
You know, I said, well, you know, my style seems to be gone now. He says, don't worry about it. Just don't sing out of your style.
Right.
And I didn't, and I played clubs for 10 years.
Yeah.
But that was fine too, you know. I mean, I paid some dues.
Yeah. I think you could have pulled it off though, with the right musicians, you know. I really do. I mean, Tommy James kind of made the crossover with Crimson and Clover, you know, a little psychedelic.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think he could have done the same thing because your music was hip. It wasn't bubblegum, in my opinion. It was really hip. You know, it was good, great music.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I always followed that advice.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't sing out of my style. Besides, I don't know if I could have sang harder.
I think you could.
But
I have confidence in you.
I mean, I do today.
Yeah.
You know, I sing some good rock and roll Beatle tunes.
Exactly. Yeah.
I definitely do. So, but I consider that my style anyway.
I wanted to mention, did you see on YouTube a band called, I think it's the Rio Brothers? They're from the Philippines.
Yeah, from the Philippines, yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, they do a great job with your music.
They really did. And Philippine musicians are the greatest. They are great musicians. Because when I was in the army over in Asia, all down the coast, from Japan down to Australia, it was all Philippine bands.
Really?
And they're great. They are good.
They do a montage on YouTube, and I think it's like 3 songs. Everybody Loves a Clown, Save Your Heart for Me, and Count Me In is all part of that.
The one that I saw, they did about 30.
Really?
30 songs, album tunes and everything also.
Yeah.
And it was all in medley form.
Yeah.
You know, I was blown away.
They do Beatles.
Yeah.
They got a great voice, but they got that 60s sound, which was really, really cool.
They do. I mean, we played in the Philippines many times, and they had billboards up, huge billboards that used to say, Gary Lewis and the Playboys, America's answer to the Beatles.
Right. That's right.
I mean, I had hits over there that were just cover tunes on albums. The people didn't know.
Yeah.
Del Shannon had this hit. Freddie Cannon had that hit. Bobby V had that hit. They thought I had all those hits.
Right.
So when I got over there, I asked the promoter, what songs were hits over here? And he gave me a list. It was like 100 songs. I said, hey, it's an hour and a half show, you know?
Yeah.
So we just got down to the biggest ones.
Right. You know, another guy that kind of did that crossover from the 60s I had on the show recently was Dion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he surprised a lot of people with a lot of the music later.
Yeah, definitely. He was on that malt shop cruise.
Yeah. He's a good guy too. I like Dion.
Right.
I want to say thank you for your service, first of all. My dad was a Marine. My brother was in the Air Force. There was an interviewer asked you this in an interview in the past. He said, how come you couldn't have gotten out of the draft? And your answer to that was, well, I don't know. I had a really good role model. When I was thinking about getting out of the draft, I thought of Elvis going into the service at the height of his career and doing what he had to do for his country without complaining. So thinking of how Elvis did that, I thought to myself, I'm going to do the same thing and I'm going to be proud the rest of my life for it. And I am. It's just amazing how many Vietnam vets come up to me at those shows and thank me for doing what I was supposed to do. So I wouldn't change that for anything. I think that was beautifully put. Beautifully put.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the truth. And we still do free shows for the veterans and their families whenever they ask. You know, I'm a big veteran.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah. I mean, you know, you always hear guys trying to get out of the military, especially the Vietnam War, you know.
Oh, sure.
You know.
Sure, I know. And, you know, I'm just the kind of person you know, whether I agree with it or not,
right.
I'm not going to condemn them for doing what they think they should have done, you know, so whatever.
Well, thank you for that, man. That's and that, like you said, that's something you live with for the rest of your life.
That's right.
And tell your grandkids.
Yes, I do.
How many grandkids do you have?
7.
You got 7? Whoa.
Yeah.
I've got 5.
Right.
They're great, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. And then they start talking.
Then they start talking and asking for things. Did you have a good Christmas with them? Are they local or?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
I live in Rochester, New York.
Oh, really? Kodak town with Kodak, Ray-Ban. Yeah.
Xerox.
Yeah, that's right.
It used to be Xerox. but I was doing a show back here in 1997. And I saw this cute blonde out in the audience with nice red lipstick and blonde hair. So I'm looking, and so she came to the after party for the radio station. When I saw her walk in, I just, boom. I just drifted over, started talking to her, and I stayed. I just stayed, you know, because all I really need is a phone, a computer. I mean, that's all I need.
Yeah.
Really. So I've been living here since 97.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a little cold up there, right?
It's a little cold, a lot different than LA, but I like the seasons, you know, and it's just fun, you know, and coming from LA, you know, my growing up life, Rochester is such a relief. I mean, it's big enough to have everything I want, but it's also small enough to feel small.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. Sometimes you get tired of those big cities, you know, like you said at LA.
Yeah. And we're just far enough away from Buffalo to where we don't get those storms.
Yeah. Oh, Buffalo got hit hard this year.
What did they ever? Yes, sir.
We got a lot of people from Buffalo here. I'm in the Sarasota, Bradenton area.
Yeah,
and, a lot of people from Buffalo. A lot of people from Michigan. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I watched your dad direct a movie in 1979 in Fort Lauderdale. I was going to broadcasting school. He did Hardly Working.
Oh, Hardly Working, yeah.
And he was dressed in a clown outfit, and he was producing it, directing it.
Right.
And there was like 1,000 bunny rabbits out in the parking lot that they released.
I know. I came down, and he put my band in one of the club scenes, and we did a song. But for some reason, the movie was too long, and so he cut us out.
Oh, man.
Well, thank you very much.
He also cut you out of the Nutty Professor, didn't he?
That's correct, but that was a good reason too, because I was at a bar.
I saw that. It's on YouTube.
I was only 17.
Right.
Standards and practices, I don't like that.
Yeah, I was rooting for you because you were 17. I was hoping you got that drink.
I didn't.
And of course, that bartender's well known. He was in a lot of your dad's movies.
Yeah, Buddy Lester.
Yeah, he was pretty cool.
He was.
I liked him.
Yeah. Yep.
That was pretty cool. Hardly Working was Harold Stone, Steve Franken. They were all there. I saw them all at the
Right,
location.
right.
And
Yeah.
the filming site was like right down the street from me in Lauderdale. It was at a shopping center. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I could have been an extra in it, but I didn't want to wait around all day.
Yeah, right. Right. I have things to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Any chance you're going to be in the Happy Together tour again? You going to jump on that show?
No, I'm no longer with that agency.
Really?
Yeah.
Paradise, right? Is it Paradise?
You
Yeah.
know, they give a lot of people work.
Yeah, they do. They've been
that's
having a
good.
lot of the same bands over and over again. You know, they need to change that up a little bit, I think.
Yes, I'm with you.
Yeah. Same thing with Ringo and his all-star band. He's got to change that up a little bit too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's had a lot of the same guys now for several years.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I saw him in '88 in Cleveland,
Mm-hmm.
and Joe Walsh was on it.
Yep.
Nils Lofgren,
Yep.
uh, Levon Helm, as a matter of fact.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were good shows.
yeah. And then I was kind of surprised. Like, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 10 years ago, he played an outdoor venue here,
Mm-hmm.
and he had Edgar Winter on the show.
Right.
I didn't, so I was talking to Edgar Winter about Leon Russell because he toured with Leon Russell for a while, and interesting stuff talking to these guys.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've covered the Happy Together tour many, many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also Ringo, I cover that show as well, and that's another David Fishoff thing that he did.
Yeah.
And of course, now he's big with the fantasy camp, rock and roll fantasy camp.
Right.
Yeah, maybe you should be on that.
Well,
Teach everybody all your drumming skills that you learned from Buddy Rich, right?
yeah.
We were talking about the crossover between 60s and 70s, but you did put together a band with Billy Cowsill.
Yeah.
What kind of? I didn't get a chance to listen to the music from that. Was there an album out that I can listen to?
No.
Oh,
We just decided to form this band up in Tulsa, Oklahoma,
right.
and it was myself, Bill Cowsill, and local musicians that I was friends with already, and we just were trying to get a deal. See what people thought. It was like starting over, except that people wanted to still hear my hits, and it was a little harder of a band. So with the new instrumentation and all that, we still did my hits and all that. Might not have sounded exactly like it, but we were going for a new deal. We were going to try to see if we could get something going in the '70s, and that never happened.
Huh. What do you think that never happened? Maybe not enough promotion, or
our attitudes probably.
right?
Our attitudes were a little too much like, well, hey, I had tons of hits and stuff like that. Why not? Attitudes were wrong.
Yeah.
I was in a place where it was actually no good for me. I was just trying to be too much of a hard rocker. And see, there it is, playing out of my style.
I told Brian Hyland this, and I truly believe this. You and Brian definitely should be in the Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, just based on the hits. See, they don't consider that. You don't consider, anybody that has that many hits should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's a gimme, in my opinion.
The only thing that would do is raise your price a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the Hall of Fame is so political that
It is.
I actually don't care.
Yeah, a lot of people think that way.
You know
what I heard? I heard it was based on record companies. That's how you get in. If you belong to a certain record company, you're in. If you know,
Well, maybe who knows? Who
yeah.
knows the deals that go on? What am I saying? I do know the deals that go on.
That's funny. I forgot who told me that, but somebody uh, actually told me that was the secret of it. It was a
Yeah.
producer, I think he told me about it. Yeah, and he belonged to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as well.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I mean, I'm not bad mouthing the Hall of Fame.
right.
I'm just saying that I don't live for that day
Yeah,
where I'll be in. You know.
yeah. There's a lot of people that feel the same way,
Yeah.
especially Steve Miller. he
Yeah.
he got in and he still doesn't care.
I love Steve Miller.
I know.
Great music.
Here's something a lot of people probably don't realize, but me being a top 40 guy, I pick up on things. Um, your intro, and I'm trying to find my information on this. Um, Boy, I'm all out of sorts today for some reason. Let me see, where am I here? I want to compare the two here.
That's why they have editing.
That's why they have editing. That's right. Thank God for Zoom.
Yeah.
Anyway, oh yeah, she's just my style. Okay, the beginning of that song,
Yeah.
you know what it sounds like. Okay, and you're as innocent as can be because your song came out in '66, but this other song came out in '67. Lucy in the Skies, John Fred and his Playboy band. There is similarities in that beat, right?
Yeah, yeah. I never thought about it being close to Just My Style.
Well, the intro of Just My Style.
I know. Snuffy Garret had me do that song, Lucy in the Skies.
Really?
Yeah, on an album.
Okay.
You know, because in the 60s, that's what you did. You put your hit on the album,
right?
And then you did everybody else's hits.
And then again, John Fred and the Playboy band, huh?
Right. That's right.
What do you think? Do you think they copied you?
No, there was also another band, country band called the Texas Playboys.
Right. But they're country. That doesn't count.
Yeah. I didn't say that. Yeah. But, Hugh Hefner tried to sue me for using the name.
I didn't know that.
He did. And it was the shortest court session in the world because the court session opened up, the judge smacked his gavel down and said, "There is no copyright on the English language."
Huh.
And he said, "Mr. Lewis, just don't ever put out a magazine called Playboy."
That makes sense.
I promise.
So Hugh Hefner cannot play your songs.
You lost.
That's interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah, I know. It was just like a little blurb in the paper once.
Yeah, how about that? You kind of started out with the playing in Disneyland, and another guy who got his start in Disneyland was Steve Martin.
Steve Martin?
Steve Martin. Yeah, I think he worked at a magic shop in Disneyland, and that's how he kind of started.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I found that out through John McEwen from the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. He's really good friends with Steve Martin. Yeah, and they known each other. They known each other for years. But a lot of people did start out in Disneyland. I found out.
It was great for us.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think the highlight of your career has been? All the hits.
The highlight of my career, I would have to say, was meeting the Beatles.
All four of them?
All four of them.
Wow. Now, when was this?
They did a show at the Hollywood Bowl in LA in 1965. And I went to the show, I had one song at the time. I had Diamond Ring.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the show's over and everything, and I see this guy walking towards me, and he says, "Hey, the Beatles sent me out to bring you back to the dressing room. They want to meet you." I said, "What?"
Very cool.
So I went back. I walked in. I had my Beatles suit on, with a black velvet collar and cuffs, and 3 button down. So I walk in, and John Lennon says, "Hi, mate." Cool, that was nice. I liked it. And then McCartney looks at me and says, "Hey, man, nice suit." And so they're walking around pouring champagne for everybody, and
Yeah.
I just figured, well, I'll just go.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just, because I didn't know what the hell I was going to say. I mean, I would have said, "Geez, I love your records." I didn't want to be stupid.
It's so funny how you guys get starstruck like anyone else, you know?
Oh, God, to meet the Beatles. Geez, I was one of those guys that would get in line the night before at a record shop to get the new album.
Yeah.
I did that stuff. I mean, the Beatles, man, geez, wonderful, just wonderful.
I just had Rich Williams on from Kansas, the guitar player from Kansas.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about how the Rolling Stones came into their dressing room and they all stared at the Stones and didn't say a word. They didn't know what to say.
That's funny.
It is so funny. I get a kick out of that.
I have another career highlight.
Okay.
Doing the Ed Sullivan Show with my first record.
Yep.
Because my dad told me, he says, people work their entire career to be able to get on the Ed Sullivan Show. And here I am on it with my first record. And boy, that was really a shot in the arm. That thing just sailed up the charts.
Mm.
It was great. So those are 2 highlights right there.
Ed Sullivan is incredible. Great promoter. Didn't do a lot of research about the bands and got them mixed up sometimes.
No. My dad used to say, "Well, I spoke to Ed Sullivan yesterday through his interpreter."
That's funny. That is funny. I want to ask you something. It's a little personal.
Okay.
And if you don't want to answer it, that's fine. And I'm asking this because a similar situation happened to me. I took care of my mom and dad for 18 years until their passing.
Yeah.
My mom had Alzheimer's. My wife's a nurse.
Yeah.
And so I don't remember my 50s. It was all taking care of them.
Oh, yeah.
And at the end, I got screwed, and I did not get an inheritance from either one of them. They weren't set for insurance. So it was nothing, but I took care of them for 15, 20 years. Is it true what happened to you with your dad about the inheritance thing?
Yeah. But I was not surprised one bit.
Really? How come?
Because, well, first of all, he told us all one day, I don't know where my brothers were when that happened, but they were all in the same room. He says, "I'm not leaving anybody anything."
Why? Why? I'm thinking about the grandkids. You know what I mean?
Who knows?
Yeah.
But by that time I already had my own job, my own money.
Yeah, I understand that.
I said, okay, so when it happens, so what?
Right.
I'm the only one that didn't care. All the others,
right,
they were waiting.
Yeah.
So they were disappointed when they heard that all the way till when he did die.
Did they contest the will at all?
No. No. So, that just was not important to me.
Right.
You shouldn't live your life waiting for somebody else.
No, of course not.
Make your own.
Right. I just think about the grandkids. It would be nice to pay for their education or something like that.
That's okay. Yeah, I wasn't affected at all.
Right. I didn't think you would be affected.
No.
No, because you always did your own thing. You didn't need your dad's help. You never did.
Right.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
He didn't even know I had a band until Diamond Ring was #1
Wow.
because my mom financed everything.
Yeah.
Recording sessions, the equipment, the rehearsal halls.
Really?
All that stuff. And she told me, don't tell your dad anything about this because
Yeah.
if it fails, I got to come up with an excuse as to where this
Yeah.
money went.
Right. Right.
So, Diamond Ring's #1. She says, now you can tell him.
And he had you on a show. I think you were on the telethon. I remember that. I remember seeing that.
We did that about, I don't know, 30 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. What was your feeling when him and Dean Martin got back together again?
Well, I was there that night.
You were there that night? Really?
Yeah.
Very cool.
77.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there and I was watching the whole thing, and all I knew is that it was going to be a surprise to my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And all of his life, I remember him saying, "I hate surprises." So I'm thinking, oh, I don't know how this is going to work out, but he if he hated the surprise, he played it good,
Yeah. No, believe it or not, I understand your dad. He's old school. And so is my dad. My dad was old school too. When he passed away, he was 97. And he grew up in Brooklyn, New York, Bensonhurst, and he.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was supposed to get the house, that we took care of them at.
Right.
Me and him had a little argument, and he put the house in my brother's names. That's why I didn't get the house. That's the same thing.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I saved his life like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable the way they are,
I know, but whatever.
Your dad, was he full Jewish? Was he Jewish 100%?
Well, he was, but he didn't practice it.
Yeah, my dad was Jewish, but he didn't practice either. Same thing. So I know exactly where your dad's coming from. Yeah, very similar. Very, very similar. Here's a question I always ask everybody, Gary. And thanks for answering that question, by the way. You didn't have to, but I just, you hear things in the news, you don't know if it's true or not anymore.
Right.
I always go to the source.
Yeah.
I asked you this question way back when in 2013. If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, to perform or collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
To collaborate with?
Or play, write with or perform with?
I don't know. What did I say in 13?
I got to look it up. I got to go back.
Yeah,
probably a Beatle.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
I would have said the Beatles or one of the Beatles. But as of right now, I had so much great success with Leon Russell. Maybe write another song with Leon Russell.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, he was smart.
He was.
He was so smart and wrote brilliant songs.
Mm-hmm.
I even liked his entire Carney album.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I was a big fan of Leon Russell as well.
Me too.
Yeah, I liked his top 40 hit, "Up on a Tire."
Tightrope.
Tightrope. Up on a tightrope. Yeah.
Up on the tightrope.
That's a cool song.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should do that as a tribute.
Well, it's really funny because when I announce when we're doing Just My Style or Everybody Loves a Clown, I'll say myself and Leon Russell wrote this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear, what? Oh, like people don't know that.
Yeah, they don't know that.
They don't know that he was my arranger for all those hits.
That's great, man. So
Yeah.
what's next for Gary Lewis and the Playboys? Like you got the Florida dates, you got some other dates coming. What else you got going on?
Well, I'm just gonna keep pushing, you know.
Yeah.
I'm still healthy. I
Yep.
can still sing. I've never had to lower a key in my whole career. You know, my voice is strong, and I'm just gonna keep doing it as long as I can.
Good for you.
That's what I'm doing.
You look great, by the way.
Oh, thanks. I
What are you,
shaved
41,
today.
42?
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually 77.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I liked your look when you had the long curly hair, you know.
Oh yeah, I kind
You were
of
cool, man.
enjoyed
That was cool.
but, you know, it got to be too much.
I know.
You know, I mean, I couldn't talk to anybody without it blowing in my mouth.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I want to mention, for more information about Gary Lewis and the Playboys, you can go to his website, www.garylewisandtheplayboys.com. And you're on Facebook, you're on Twitter. I'm mentioning all your albums that you put out, all the singles you put out.
Right.
I'm going to promote the hell out of this interview for you.
Great. Great.
I'm everywhere. I'm on Spotify, Pandora. I mean, all the
Good.
major. Yeah, we'll get the
great.
word out.
Great.
Get the word out that you're out there touring, your brains out.
That's right. That's what I am. I'm loving every second of it too.
Exactly. Gary,
You know,
thank you so much, man, for being on the
thank you
show
very
today.
much.
I've always admired you. I love your music. Especially my wife, by the way. She loves your music.
Great.
Brings back a lot of memories.
Thank you so much.
Keep doing what you're doing, man. You're awesome.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Gary. Thank you. Take care, man. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.